I paid for my grandson's wedding, the whole thing. Then they sat me in the hallway, not as a joke, not as a mistake, as if that was where I belonged. The invitation arrived 3 months prior, cream-coloured cardstock with gold lettering. Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Reed request the honour of your presence. I ran my fingers over the embossed letters, feeling the quality of the paper. My son Andrew had always appreciated fine things. I chose my outfit with care. The dove grey suit from Robert's funeral 8 years ago, never worn too elegant for grief. The pearls he gave me on our 40th anniversary. Shoes that pinched but looked right. I wanted to look like myself, not the shuffled-aside grandmother in comfortable flats and a cardigan. The cheque sat in my clutch, $25,000. The venue was beautiful. I had chosen it when Andrew called 6 months ago, his voice tight with the strain of asking for money while pretending he wasn't. Mum, we've found this incredible place, but the deposit alone. I had cut him off gently, told him to send the details. I hadn't mentioned that I already knew the building, that I had owned it for 43 years. I arrived 20 minutes before the ceremony. The valet looked past me to the sedan behind mine, a younger couple with better posture and brighter smiles. I waited. Eventually, he noticed me. Inside, the lobby gleamed, marble floors Robert and I had selected in 1981. Crown moulding I had insisted on. The scent of lilies filled the air, arrangements taller than me stationed at every column. Name? A young woman with a clipboard stood at the ballroom entrance. She wore a headset and an expression of professional harassment. Evelyn Reed. She scanned her list, frowned. I'm sorry, I don't see you on the seating chart. I'm the groom's grandmother. Oh. Her face shifted. Just one moment. She spoke into her headset, hand cupped over the microphone. Behind me, guests flowed past, waving at familiar faces, disappearing into the ballroom where a string quartet warmed up. Handel. The girl returned. We're actually at full capacity in the main room, but we have seating for you just down the hall, very comfortable. I see. She led me past the ballroom entrance. Through the doorway, I glimpsed round tables dressed in ivory linens, centerpieces of white roses. The lighting was perfect, warm but not dim. I had approved those fixtures during the renovation in 2003. The hallway was cooler, quieter. Here we are. She gestured to a folding chair against the wall. Metal frame, vinyl seat. This is my seat. Yes, ma'am. You'll be able to hear the ceremony from here. I looked at the chair, at the empty hallway, at the dusty window at the far end. Thank you. She smiled with relief and hurried away. I sat down. The chair creaked. The vinyl was cold through my suit jacket. From beyond the walls, I heard the string quartet shift into the processional, Pachelbel's canon. I placed my clutch on my lap, felt the shape of the check inside. My hands were steady. That surprised me. The hallway was empty except for me and the folding chair. A water fountain hummed in the corner. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I could hear voices muffled through the walls. The officiant beginning. I strained to make out words but caught only rhythm. Someone laughed. This was my grandson's wedding. I had paid for the flowers I couldn't see, the meal I wouldn't taste, the venue I owned but would experience from a hallway. The thought arrived with strange clarity, no anger yet, just recognition. I sat very still, listening to my grandson marry a girl whose face I had seen only in photographs. My suit was beautiful. My pearls were real, my check was generous, and I was alone in a hallway on a folding chair. The ceremony lasted 37 minutes. I watched the second hand sweep around my watch face while voices rose and fell beyond the wall. I heard the vows, barely, heard the pronouncement, heard applause. The hallway filled briefly with people looking for restrooms. They glanced at me and looked away, the automatic dismissal of the elderly in public spaces. I had become furniture. A young man in a tuxedo stopped, turned back. "Mrs. Reed? I'm Tyler." From the groom's side. Is your seat out here?" "It appears so." He stared at the folding chair. His face moved through confusion, embarrassment, something like pity. They should have..." He trailed off. "It's quite all right, it's really not." He stood there a moment, wrestling with something. Then he nodded once and walked toward the ballroom. He did not come back. The hallway emptied. I could smell the food being served, shrimp, rosemary. My stomach tightened. I opened my clutch, looked at the check, my handwriting on the memo line, "For Michael and Rebecca, with love." I folded it carefully and put it back. Then the dinner began, and I heard the toasts. The sound system was good. Robert and I had updated it in 2015. When Andrew stood to speak, I heard every word. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Rebecca and I want to especially thank the Harrington family for their incredible generosity in securing this beautiful venue. When we saw Ashford Hall, we knew it was perfect, but the cost was, well. The Harringtons stepped in and made this night possible. We are forever grateful." Applause. Enthusiastic applause. I sat very still. The Harringtons. Walter had been Robert's golf partner. His wife Diane served on boards with me. We sent Christmas cards. Andrew continued, "To the Harringtons for making this celebration everything our family dreamed it would be." More applause, glasses clinking. I looked at my hands folded in my lap, thin skin spotted with age. These hands had written the check, had signed the contracts for this building 43 years ago, had arranged the financing for this wedding 6 months ago. These hands, holding each other in a hallway, while my son thanked someone else. The breaking point arrived quietly, not as rage, not as tears, but as a simple thought, clear and cold. I am done. Footsteps approached. Clara, my granddaughter, stood at the edge of the hallway, bridesmaid dress a deep burgundy. Andrew's daughter from his first marriage, 28. A public defender in Philadelphia, a job that paid little and meant everything to her. She stared at me, at the folding chair, at the empty hallway. "Grandma?" "Hello, sweetheart." She walked toward me slowly. When she reached me, she didn't speak, just sat down on the floor beside me, her expensive dress pooling around her, back against the wall. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Sitting with you. You'll ruin your dress." "I don't care." We sat in silence. From the ballroom came music, upbeat and generic, dancing. "Does anyone know you're here?" Clara asked carefully. "Apparently not. Did Dad not see the seating chart?" I imagine he saw what he wanted to see. Clara made a small noise between a laugh and something else. "I'm so sorry. You didn't put me here." The thing I appreciated about Clara was her honesty. She didn't make excuses, simply sat with me on the floor, her presence acknowledging something was very wrong. Several minutes passed. Then a man in a dark suit appeared at the far end of the hallway. He walked toward us with purpose, his expression shifting from professional neutrality to recognition to alarm. "Mrs. Reed?" I looked up, perhaps 60, silver-haired, authoritative bearing. "Mr. Shaw." He stopped, taking in the scene. Me on the folding chair, Clara on the floor, the empty hallway. "I didn't know you were attending tonight's event." His voice carried confusion. Why would the building's owner be sitting in a hallway? "I'm the grandmother," I said simply. His face did something complicated. He glanced toward the ballroom, then back. "Mrs. Reed, there's been an issue with tonight's payment, the lease fee for the venue. It was processed last week, but this morning it was reversed. I've been trying to reach the Reed family." Clara looked at me. "What sort of issue?" I asked. "The payment was declined, or rather cancelled. The account showed sufficient funds last week, but today there's a note that the transaction was terminated by the account holder. How unfortunate." Mr. Shaw shifted. "I've tried to be discreet, given the circumstances, but I'm afraid we'll need to resolve this before the end of the evening." "I'm sure. Robert and I wrote that contract ourselves." The pause had texture, weight. "Mrs. Reed, did you cancel the payment?" I met his eyes. I did. Clara stood from the floor, dress swishing. She stared at me. "You own this building?" "I do." "Since when?" "Since 1981. She processed this. I watched her understand everything. The toast thanking the Harringtons, my seat in the hallway, my presence here as a guest at my own venue. Mr. Shaw cleared his throat. "Mrs. Reed, I'm not sure how to proceed. I'll come to your office after the reception. The reception is scheduled until midnight, then tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. He hesitated, caught between contract authority and reality, a 76-year-old woman who owned the ground beneath his feet. Authority won. He nodded and retreated. Clara waited until he was gone. Then she crouched beside my chair. "Grandma?" "Yes?" "Why?" "Why cancel the payment? Why sit in the hallway? Why come at all?" I could have lied, but Clara was looking at me with steady eyes that saw through pretense. "Because I paid for this wedding. The deposit, the lease, the insurance, all of it. I sent the cheque 6 months ago. And tonight your father thanked the Harringtons for their generosity while I sat in a hallway on a folding chair." Clara closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were bright. "He doesn't know you own the building. No." "Does anyone?" "Robert knew. My lawyer knows. No one in the family knows." "Why not?" "Because it was mine. Robert and I bought this building as an investment with money we earned. It wasn't family money. It wasn't meant for anyone else. It was ours." Clara sat back. Behind us, the music changed to something slower. First dance. "What happens now?" "Now I go home. Tomorrow I speak with Mr. Shaw, and your father will receive an invoice for tonight's venue rental, plus late fees for the cancelled payment. He can't afford that." "No, he can't." "Grandma, I should go." I stood, picking up my clutch. The cheque was still inside, undelivered. I would shred it at home. Clara rose with me. "Let me walk you out. You're in the wedding party. I don't care." We walked together down the hallway, past the folding chair that would remain empty, toward the lobby. As we walked, I heard my grandson's celebration continuing without me. The music, the laughter. Family I was no longer part of. Or perhaps the family I had never truly been part of. Perhaps I had simply been the woman who wrote cheques, who said yes, who faded into the background. That woman was done now. The valet brought my car quickly, no waiting this time. Clara opened my door, helped me in with gentleness that made something in my chest tighten. "I'll call you tomorrow," she said. "You don't have to, I want to." I looked at her, my son's daughter, the only one who had sat with me in that hallway, the only one who saw where I was and recognized it as wrong. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for being honest with me. I drove home through familiar streets. The city I had lived in for 54 years. The corner where we bought our first Christmas tree. The intersection where Robert proposed. The hospital where Andrew was born. All of it still there. All of it still mine. And yet I felt like a stranger. My house was dark when I arrived. I let myself in. disabled the alarm, turned on the foyer lamp. The silence here was different from the silence in the hallway. This silence was mine. I had chosen it. I went upstairs, took off my pearls, hung up my suit. The cheque fell from my clutch. I picked it up, looked at it one more time, then tore it precisely in half, then into quarters, then into pieces too small to reconstruct. Confetti of my generosity scattered across my desk. I slept surprisingly well. Morning came with clarity. I dressed in slacks and a simple sweater and drove to Ashford Hall at 9:45. Mr. Shaw was waiting in his office, folder open on his desk. Mrs. Reed. He stood. "I appreciate you coming in." I sat. He sat. "I've reviewed the contract. Given the circumstances, the cancelled payment, the family event, I wanted to discuss options." "What sort of options?" "If this was a simple error, we could process the payment again without penalty. Or if there's a dispute, we could adjust the invoice. I'm authorised to work with clients on payment plans." I looked at him steadily. "I don't want a payment plan, Mr. Shaw. I want you to send my son the full invoice, including the lease fee. The cancelled payment fee as specified in Section 7 and any late charges that apply." He was quiet. "That would be substantial." "I imagine so." "Mrs. Reed, this is your son's wedding. Your grandson." "My grandson got married in a beautiful venue that I own, paid for with money I provided, while I sat in a hallway." "Yes, Mr. Shaw, I'm certain." He nodded slowly, pulled a form and began filling it out. When done, he turned it so I could see. $63,400. More than twice what I had been willing to give as a gift. "This amount is due within 30 days. After that, collections and legal remedies." "I understand." He looked at me for a long moment. "May I ask why you came to the wedding?" I considered the question. Considered all the reasons: family obligation, hope, desire to see my grandson marry. All true, all insufficient. Because I wanted to see if they would notice me, if they would remember, just for one night, that I was a person and not just a checkbook. And they didn't. No. He slid the invoice across. "I'll send this certified mail this afternoon." "Thank you." I stood. He stood as well. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About the chair. About all of it." "It's not your fault, Mr. Shaw. You seated the guests as you were told." I left his office and walked through the building one more time. In daylight, it looked different. The marble gleamed, the crown moulding cast elegant shadows. The ballroom was empty now, chairs stacked, the ghost of celebration hanging in the air. This was mine, all of it, and soon it would be Clara's. I had called my attorney that morning. The wheels were in motion. Property transfer, new deed. Clara's name where mine had been. She would inherit it properly, with full knowledge, with respect. Outside, the sun was bright. I stood on the steps of Ashford Hall and took a breath that felt cleaner than any in months. Then I went home to wait for my son's call. Andrew called on Tuesday, 3 days after the wedding. I saw his name on the caller ID and let it ring 4 times. A small rebellion letting him wait. "Mom?" "Hello, Andrew." Silence. I could hear him breathing. "I received an invoice from Ashford Hall. It's for $63,000. Yes." Pause. "Mum, I don't understand. We paid for the venue. This must be a mistake." "It's not a mistake. You cancelled the payment. The contract has penalty clauses." "I didn't cancel anything." He stopped. "Did you cancel it?" "I did." Different quality of silence. Shock. Anger building. "Why would you do that?" "Because I paid for your son's wedding, Andrew, all of it, and you thanked the Harringtons." "The Harringtons helped us." "With what exactly?" "They made calls, helped us secure the venue." "Mum, this is ridiculous. I can, and I did. This is my son's wedding, yes, my grandson, whose wedding I attended from a folding chair in a hallway while you toasted someone else's generosity." Quiet. When he spoke again, his voice had shifted to the tone he used when explaining things to difficult people. "Mum, if there was a seating mix-up, I apologise, but this is extreme. You can't punish me with $63,000 because of a seating chart." "I'm not punishing you. I'm requiring you to pay for the venue you used." "You know I can't afford that." "Then you should have considered the cost before planning such an expensive wedding." Jesus Christ, what do you want from me? The question hung there. What did I want? "I don't want anything, Andrew, not anymore. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have." He tried reasoning, defensiveness, guilt. I answered each calmly, offered no openings, gave no ground. Eventually he said he needed to call his lawyer and hung up without goodbye. I sat with the phone for several minutes. My house was quiet. No one witnessed this moment. Just me and afternoon light and the knowledge that something had shifted permanently. The following week, Clara came to visit. She arrived Saturday afternoon carrying a bag from the bakery I liked. We sat in my kitchen drinking coffee while she told me about a case, a client being evicted unfairly, a landlord who thought he could bully a single mother. He learned differently. Judge ruled in our favour yesterday. She gets to keep her apartment and he has to pay her legal fees. Good. The look on his face when the judge read the ruling. She shook her head. Priceless. Quiet moment. Then she said carefully, "Dad told me about the invoice. I imagined he would. He's very angry. I imagined that too." She traced the rim of her coffee cup. "He asked me to talk to you, to convince you to forgive the debt. He said it was a family matter." "And what did you tell him?" "I told him I wasn't his messenger and that maybe he should consider what he did to deserve a $63,000 invoice." I looked at my granddaughter, this woman who defended people who couldn't defend themselves, who sat on floors in expensive dresses, who said true things even when uncomfortable. Clara, I need to tell you something. Okay. I'm transferring ownership of Ashford Hall to you. The paperwork is being drawn up now. It should be finalised within the month. She stared, set down her coffee cup carefully. Grandma, I can't accept that. You can. It's worth millions. 3.2 million according to the most recent appraisal. I can't, Clara. I put my hand over hers. You're the only one who sat with me in that hallway. The only one who saw where I was and recognised it as wrong. The only one who treats me like a person instead of a function. That's just basic decency. Yes, and apparently it's rare enough to be worth $3.2 million. She was crying now, silently. I don't know what to say. Say you'll take it. Say you'll manage it well. Say you'll remember that power is only meaningful if you use it correctly. I will. Thank you. God, that's inadequate. It covers enough. We sat together as afternoon stretched toward evening, talking about her cases, my garden, a book she thought I might like. Normal conversation, easy conversation, the kind between people who actually see each other. When she left, she hugged me tightly. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. I watched her drive away, watched her taillights disappear, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived. Cream-coloured paper. Andrew's return address. Inside, a letter in his small, precise handwriting. Mom, I owe you an apology. The seating arrangement at Michael's wedding was unacceptable. You should have been at our family table. I don't know how that happened, but it was wrong. I understand you're upset, and you have every right to be. But $63,000 is more than upset. It's vindictive. It's designed to hurt me financially, and it succeeds. I'm asking you to reconsider. Not for me, but for Michael. This is his marriage. Starting out under a cloud of family conflict and debt. That's not fair to him or Rebecca. If you can find it in your heart to forgive the invoice, I promise we'll do better. We'll make sure you're included properly in future family events. Please, Mum, let's not let money destroy what family we have left. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer with other documents I kept but didn't need. The apology was insufficient. The promise was empty. I did not respond. 3 days later, my lawyer called. The property transfer was complete. Ashford Hall belonged to Clara now, free and clear. She's a lucky young woman, my lawyer said. No, she's a woman who earned something through basic human decency. That's not luck. That's payment for value rendered. That evening I drove to Ashford Hall one final time. Clara met me there, key in hand. Her key now, her building. We walked through the empty ballroom together, footsteps echoing on marble. I still can't believe it's mine. Believe it. What am I supposed to do with a historical events venue? Whatever you want. Keep it running. Change it. Sell it. It's yours to decide. She stopped in the centre of the ballroom, turned slowly. I think I'll keep it, but I'm going to make some changes. Renovate the back hallways. Better lighting. Comfortable seating. Dignity for everyone, not just the people in the main rooms. I smiled. Your grandfather would have liked that. Yeah? He always said a building should serve everyone who enters it. We stood together in the space that had been mine and was now hers, the weight of it lifting, the responsibility, the memory, the hurt. Thank you, Grandma.
You're welcome.
We locked up together and stood on the front steps under evening sky. The building behind us, the city ahead, the future uncertain but less frightening.
What will you do now?
Clara asked. I thought about my house that was too big, my garden that needed tending, my life stretching ahead with no obligations except the ones I chose.
I think I'm going to be selfish. Travel, read books, sleep late, eat dinner whenever I please, all the things I'd postponed because family came first.
That sounds perfect.
It does, doesn't it?
She hugged me goodbye, drove away with her building key in her purse and her future secured. I stood on the steps a moment longer, looking at Ashford Hall in fading light. Then I got in my car and drove home. If you're reading this and you recognise yourself, the one who always says yes, who made yourself small so others could be big, who faded into the background while credit for your generosity went elsewhere, I want you to know something. Your silence isn't kindness, it's abandoning yourself. Your yes when you mean no isn't generosity, it's teaching people you don't matter. And your invisibility isn't humility, it's a slow erasure of who you once were. I know because I was that person. For 76 years, I was the woman who wrote checks and stayed quiet, who said yes when I meant no, who made myself smaller so my family could be larger. I thought it was love. I was wrong. The price of their comfort was my dignity. The cost of their happiness was myself. And when I finally said no, when I cancelled that payment and sat in that hallway and let them see exactly where they had placed me, I didn't lose my family, I reclaimed myself. Andrew never paid the invoice, it went to collections. His credit took the hit. He doesn't speak to me now, and I've stopped waiting for the phone to ring. Michael sent me an email 6 months after the wedding. Brief. Grandma, I'm sorry about everything. I hope you're well. I wrote back, wished him happiness in his marriage. Did not offer to pay his father's debt. He has not written since. The rest of the family, cousins, distant relatives, have chosen sides without asking for mine. I have been uninvited from Thanksgiving, removed from email chains, quietly erased from the family photograph. And I am fine. Better than fine. I am free. I've travelled places I postponed for decades, read books I never had time for, eaten dinner at 4 in the afternoon, worn jewellery Robert gave me that I saved for special occasions, realising my ordinary days are special enough. Clara visits once a month. We have lunch, talk about her cases and my garden and the building that is now hers. She's renovated those hallways, turned them into elegant waiting rooms with comfortable chairs and soft lighting. Everyone gets dignity, she told me when I saw them. Everyone matters, regardless of where they're seated. My building, my granddaughter, my legacy in better hands than mine. Sometimes I drive past Ashford Hall at night when events are happening. I see the lights blazing, hear music filtering through the doors, watch people arriving in fine clothes for weddings and celebrations. I could go in. It would be allowed. But I don't need to anymore. I don't need to sit in hallways hoping someone will notice me. I don't need to write cheques hoping someone will value me. I don't need to make myself invisible hoping that will make me loved. I am seen now by the person who matters most, myself. The folding chair is gone. Clara had it removed during renovation. But sometimes when I visit, I walk past the spot where it used to be. That hallway that was cold and empty and designed for people who didn't matter. It's beautiful now, warm lighting, art on the walls, comfortable seating. A place where people can wait with dignity, where they can be seen, just as it should have been all along, just as I should have insisted it be. But I know now, and that knowledge is its own kind of power, the kind you don't give away.